welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. I'm your host. My guest this evening is Sarah Bird, Executive Director of Middlesex County Habitat for Humanities. Sarah, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me tonight.
Good. Thanks for coming down. So can you tell us a little bit about who is Sarah Bird and what role does she play for Habitat for Humanity?
Sarah Bird is the Executive Director of Middlesex Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
I oversee all the ins and outs of what's going on with our affiliate, the Restore, the building projects, volunteer oversight. I work directly with the staff who work directly with everyone else.
Nice. And how long have you been Executive Director?
In February, it'll be a year that I've been Executive Director. I actually started with Habitat in September 2014 as the Restore Manager.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Obviously, you love what you're doing,
I love what I'm doing. I can honestly say that when little kids are growing up and they say, I want to be a fireman or a police officer or a doctor, I wanted to save the world. I did not know how I was going to do it, but as I got older and I learned more about nonprofits, I always thought that Habitat was kind of like, if I could work for Habitat, I've made it.
There you go.
I hope that this is not the end because I'm still kind of young, but I've always loved Habitat. I've always loved the mission, what it stands for. So when I saw the position open, it fit my job set, and it was for Habitat for Humanity. So I jumped on it and was able to join.
All right.
Yeah.
For those of our viewers and listeners that don't know what Habitat for Humanity is, can you maybe tell us a little bit about what Habitat is and what is the mission statement for Habitat for Humanity?
Habitat for Humanity is an organization that works with affordable housing. The mission is to eliminate poverty housing. Okay. So there's Habitat for Humanity International that was started in 1976.
Okay.
Since we have been around, we have housed we have 1 million homes.
All right.
There are 1,400 affiliates in the United States. That's just the United States alone. That's not throughout the world.
Okay.
So what Habitat does is, in conjunction with partner families, we build homes. A partner family has to have the ability to pay back a loan, no interest mortgage. They have to have the ability to partner with Habitat. So our partner families are actually doing volunteer hours with us. They work, depending on the affiliate, between 200 and 400 hours per person. Ours is 200 hours. Anyone over the age of 18, it's 200 hours. Wow. And they have to have a critical need. That critical need could be awful living conditions, all the way to having a rent that is way over what economists say is a normal rent, or what someone should be paying for housing, which is 30%. So like here in Connecticut, we have people who are paying over 60% of their income towards housing, and we view that as a critical need. Middlesex Habitat for Humanity has been around since 1996. It was started in Middletown in a church. Actually, it started through the Wesleyan We Care campus chapter. Since we've been around, we have built 12 houses in the county, 2 in East Hampton, 10 in Middletown. Right now, we are currently working on 2 houses in Portland. We have one that we are building, and as soon as we're done with this one, we will go right into the second one. So that will be 13 and 14.
Wow.
We actually also have built 2 houses in a box after Hurricane Katrina. International put the call out for affiliates to help, and we managed to get some warehouse space, built a house, numbered all the pieces, took the house down, put it in a box, had enough time and resources to build a second house. So I like to say we're working on 14 and 15.
Really?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, we also have a program called A Brush with Kindness, where we work with current homeowners who have critical repairs in their house, and for whatever their reasoning was or is, do not have the resources to work on those critical repairs. So we will work with them. They take out a no interest loan with us. We provide the manpower through volunteer work, and they pay us back for the actual resources of going in and doing the job. So we have that And we also have our Restore, which is a nonprofit discount houseware store. We sell building supplies, doors, windows, kitchen cabinets, appliances, furniture, all sorts of stuff. We're open to the public. It's a discount store. We take donations, we sell them, and then that money is used to help the affiliate and to build houses here in Middlesex County.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, we have a lot going on.
I was going to say, you actually, my follow-up question was going to be, tell us a little bit about the store. But since you already did.
Yeah, the store has been around for since 2011.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. If you've never been in, come in, and if you have a donation, we pick them up here in Middlesex County.
Okay.
So it's a fantastic store.
It is. Now, obviously, you guys being a nonprofit, do you guys do fundraisers throughout the year?
We do fundraisers throughout the year. Last year we had a small handful of different fundraisers that we've tried.
Okay.
When I actually started, we picked up our special events committee again. So this year we're looking at 2 major fundraisers, one in May and one in November.
All right.
I don't have all the details yet,
All right,
but
all
you
right.
could check out our website where
Sure.
the details will be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And speaking of websites, if people want more information on the website, where can they go, and what types of information can they find on the website?
They could go to habitatmiddlesex.org.
Okay.
On our website, you will find our current projects, information on A Brush with Kindness. If you are interested in learning about how you can become a Habitat homeowner, or if you have a Brush with Kindness need, you can fill out a form on there, like an interest form. You can volunteer. So you can go on there, you could register to volunteer, then you could actually schedule the time that you would like to come up. And that's for our housing builds. If you want to volunteer for the
Okay.
Restore, you can, your best bet is to go online
Yeah.
and contact Dana Zinder. Her information is on there.
Okay.
You can read our story, learn all about our history. You can make donations online. Lots of stuff.
Now, as far as when you guys do a build, how many people does it normally take, or does it depend?
Oh my gosh. This is my first build
Okay.
as a staff member.
Okay.
So I can tell you, we broke ground October 24th.
Okay.
And on December 28th, we put the roof on the house. We build 3 days a week, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. In that, I think it's about 8 to 10 week period, we've had over 150 volunteers out on the site already.
Wow.
And we build for about 6 to 8 months. So if you do the math, it's
Yep.
a lot of volunteers. It
It is
takes a
it
lot
is
of volunteers.
It does take a lot of volunteers,
Yes.
and obviously, you guys are always looking for volunteers, and obviously, some volunteer opportunities, I'm sure they're available on the website as well.
Oh, absolutely. You can go online. Like I said, you could schedule your day to come out. Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for volunteers, and especially right now with the build, because it does take a lot of volunteers. We have
yeah.
2 paid staff that oversee the construction program, so there's always a site supervisor on site to help. So you don't have to have any skills.
Right.
We say you just come with the willingness to learn and do it, and we'll send you home dirty with a smile on your face.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and you'll feel good about what you're doing.
you go.
So
And normally when you guys do a build, what the days of the week that you mentioned that you guys build on, probably a couple hours? All day?
all day.
All
So we ask people to come out at about 8:30 because we do have a quick rundown of the do's and don'ts on a job site. Like probably don't show up in flip-flops, maybe like something that's
Yeah,
a little
right.
sturdier. Yeah. And then they go until about 3 o'clock, and there's a lunch break in there and a donut break that goes on as well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now, I know you and I are going to talk about this during the second segment, but we have a little bit of time before we go into the break. Let's talk about Alice.
Okay, fantastic.
Who is she?
Alice. Well, Alice is
Yes.
she's middle income, moderate income.
All right.
Last year, the United Way of Connecticut did quite an extensive project to figure out the people that are above the federal poverty level, but not making enough money to make ends
Right.
meet. And after this study, they came up with this fantastic name, and her name is Alice, or
Okay.
his name is Al.
Right.
But Alice stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed. So someone that is working, probably working a couple jobs just to make ends meet, but cannot do it.
Right.
But because they fall above the federal poverty level, there are a lot of programs that are not available to them because they fall into that category of making too much money. But they don't make enough money to make ends meet.
Right.
So Habitat comes in when it comes to Alice, because housing is one of the highest costs that we pay every month. When we see our paychecks come in, so much of it's going out for housing. And in the affordable housing arena, we like to see people spending about 30% of their income on their housing needs. And that's, their housing, their taxes, their electricity bills, anything that has to do with housing. But when you have people who are paying 60% of their income towards their rent, how does that person then save for a home?
Right.
They can pay for their rent, they can afford a mortgage, but they can't afford to save for a down payment.
Exactly.
And that's where we come in.
And what role would you play in that aspect?
So, as I stated earlier, we are looking for people that can afford to pay a mortgage. For us, that's one of the biggest factors in whether or not someone can qualify as a partner family.
Okay.
So you have Alice's. Most of the Alice's are living in rental units, and they can afford their units. Or say they're on like Section 8. Well, if someone's receiving a Section 8 voucher, the majority of the time we could actually house them in their own home where they're paying less than what they would be paying with their Section 8 voucher. But we come in because you have people, a population that they want to own their own home, they just cannot afford to save the money for their down payments. With a Habitat house, they are actually paying their mortgage. We like to say we give them a hand up, not a handout.
Well,
So-
Sarah, would you mind sticking around for
Yeah,
another segment?
absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back.
Okay.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Sarah Bird with Habitat for Humanity, Middlesex County. Sarah, welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we started the beginning of the middle of the first segment talking about the Alice report. I was wondering if maybe we can get a little bit in more detail of who Al or Alice is, and maybe get into some statistics and
Yeah,
all that
absolutely.
other good stuff.
Well, I could tell you, when the Alice report came out last year, as a brand new executive director who is trying to find her way in my role, and especially my role as an advocate for affordable housing, I was so excited because, when we go out and we're talking about affordable housing, this is not it's not a super exciting topic unless you are really, a diehard
Right.
fan of making sure that we have affordable housing. So what the Alice report did for me was it gave me statistics to be able to go out and talk on shows like yours or talk in communities and say, like for instance, in Middlesex County, Westbrook has the highest percent of Alice's,
Right?
which was astounding to me. I couldn't believe it because, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, oh, the very first one is going to be Middletown because that's our biggest city, and it wasn't.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't even Old Saybrook, which I would consider the second biggest city.
Right.
So it's good because you start talking about things like affordable housing or the need for affordable daycare and, people who have food insecurities. And people think, well, not in my backyard.
Right.
But it is in your backyard.
Right.
We just don't see it because it could be your neighbor, it could be your son's teacher, it could be your postman, your
Right.
customer service rep, the person that rang you up at the gas station. People that you may not think they're going hungry tonight or they're living in ramshackle accommodations. They're out there, they're our neighbors, and we need to be able to do something about it. So actually to have these numbers and to go out and say, in Westbrook, it is 31%. Middletown is 26%.
Wow.
That's a very high number.
That is a very high number.
In Connecticut, it's 25%. So Westbrook is higher than the Connecticut average.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
I mean, it gives a little more meat to what we're talking about and why there's a need for things like Habitat for Humanity and the United Way and why these nonprofits are so important to our communities and what it is that we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what else can you tell us about Alice or Al? What else we got?
That they're everywhere. I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me is, so I belong to the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force, and one of the things that we do is we talk about the need for affordable housing, and we are right now going to all of the towns that the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force covers, and we are discussing the needs for affordable housing. And in that we talk about Alice, and just this past Thursday we were in Old Saybrook and we were talking about for a family of 4, and this is, when they're talking about a family of 4, it's with an infant and toddler.
Okay.
That person, just to survive in the state of Connecticut, Middlesex County, needs to make $65,297 a year. That's $32.66 as an hourly wage.
Wow.
Yeah. And how many jobs in Connecticut are available that give
Right,
someone that kind of
exactly.
living wage? Yeah. And that is just to be able to survive. That's not having all the extras in life that we enjoy.
Right.
That's to be able to pay for your housing, your daycare, your food, any incidentals that come
Your
up.
heat, your oil.
Yeah, all of those things that are so important. For a single adult, it's $22,000.
Okay.
So, I mean, I guess if you're single, it's a lot easier than if you have a family of 4.
Exactly.
To me, those were like the biggest things that stood out.
Okay.
Some of the other things,
go ahead, please.
talking about jobs, 51% of jobs in Connecticut pay less than $20 an hour. So 51% of our jobs in the state of Connecticut are paying less than $20 an hour.
Okay.
Then it makes it even harder for a family of 4 to survive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, you and I talked, you mentioned it a few minutes ago about the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force. Can we talk about the task force and maybe
As much as I can,
maybe,
yeah.
maybe who's on it and what you guys do and all that other good stuff? Because I've heard about it through other guests that I've had on talking about other topics. They've mentioned the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force with me, but I really don't know much about it. So who's on it and what do you guys do?
All right, so the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force, and I hope that I do them justice, because
Okay.
I'm new to this, the task force.
That's okay.
It is a group of organizations and concerned citizens through the Connecticut shoreline that are looking at wages,
Yep.
food insecurity, and housing.
All right.
So when Alice came out, I mean, that's like,
Yes.
she is the reason for the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force.
Right.
The task force meets every month. They get together. And because I'm new, like one of the big things that we talked about over the summer were farmers markets and
yeah.
how people who receive like WIC can go and, is it worthwhile for them to be using the farmers markets? Do they have access, does it make access to their
Right.
food better, easier? They also do things like for the kids, because kids that don't have access to food,
Right.
sometimes maybe their only meals coming during the day. Once school ends, what happens to those kids? So they work on making sure that these kids have some sort of food during the week, like lunches and stuff like that. Now, for the affordable housing, we have a committee. This I know a little more about because I'm on the committee.
There you go.
Yeah, so we have been working on, we're kind of in this campaign, so I talked about it a little bit earlier.
Sure.
The first Thursday of every month, we will be going to a town that's covered by the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force. We have a host in the town who will, they're finding a place, so we don't have all the information
all the details,
yet.
right?
But we're going and we're calling it Dinner and Conversation. So it's like a potluck dinner. We ask anyone that comes to bring something to share.
something, okay.
Yep. And then we're just talking about affordable housing. There's myself,
Yeah.
Hope Partnership. So Lauren Ashman, Hope Partnership. Yep.
I've interviewed Lauren and Tony before.
Yep. The fantastic organization.
Oh, great organization.
Dawn Parker from The Connection. Do I know someone you don't know?
Yes, you do.
Oh, look at that.
Yes, you do.
And then it's someone from the United Way. This past week, we were in Old Saybrook, and Katie Hensel came down.
Okay.
Typically, I think it's going to be Ed Bonilla, and
Yep.
they're discussing the Alice report and why Alice is so important to talk about and how she plays a part in the affordable housing arena. So we're just discussing the need for affordable housing in that community, what can be done, what the community members can do. It's a little bit of education, a little bit of advocacy, giving people the opportunity to hear about us. I mean, I still hear, oh my gosh, there's a habitat in Middlesex County. We don't need a habitat. Well, we've
Right.
discussed that there is a need for it.
Exactly.
So it's just an opportunity for us to talk about affordable housing and the needs.
Exactly.
And for people to ask questions. I mean, again, we were in Old Saybrook this week, and it was fantastic because there was a gentleman that came down, and Old Saybrook is working on an affordable housing project right now, and he had questions about it. And I was actually really impressed. He made it a point to come down and ask his questions, and he's very receptive to what everyone had to say. So it's a forum for people to discuss affordable housing and the needs. So the next one is February 4th.
Yep.
It's in Clinton.
Right.
From 6 to 8, the Green Room,
Okay.
Andrews Town Hall. Yes,
I was
all
going
right.
to say, let's see how she does.
Yeah, see, I can remember.
And obviously all these events are open to the public. If people
They're
wanna,
open to
if
the
people wanna
public?
come and listen or contribute, people can come and listen. And,
Oh, absolutely. And I think the best way, you could like us all on Facebook. So I know that Hope Partnership had it up on their Facebook page. We had it up on our Facebook page.
I was going to say, if you want, what you can do, if you want to get the information to me, I can put it up on my page and put it up on
Fantastic.
on the
Yeah,
website.
that would be great.
Definitely do that.
And then the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force also has a Facebook page that they had it up on.
Okay.
And the Shoreline Basic Needs Task Force is open to the public. So anyone who's interested in learning more about what they can do to help their neighbors, come down and learn more about us and what we're doing.
And I know last summer, and I think they might do it again this summer, in conjunction with Cheryl Church from Social Services in Clinton. They did a breakfast lunch program in conjunction with End Hunger Connecticut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Because I've interviewed, I'm sure you've met Jim Crawford.
Yep, I've
from
met
End
him.
Hunger.
Yep,
Jim from End Hunger Connecticut is a frequent on with me. Him and also Minor Vincent from Families Helping Families out of Clinton.
The name sounds familiar. I do believe that I've met him.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
another frequent on with me, talking about the events that they have coming up and all the other good stuff that they do in the community.
Well, I can tell you, as
Sure.
I was telling you earlier, that
Yeah.
since I've joined Middlesex Habitat for Humanity, this county has so many nonprofits that are really working hard to eradicate the things that kind of hold us back as a county, as a community, because, if you look at things like affordable housing, if people have access to affordable housing, the likelihood of their children graduating from high school they increase. they're more healthy.
Right.
Overall, it's just a better situation. But in your community, I always like to say, like, habitat's kind of like a drop, and it's a ripple effect. You know, for us, we've had, like in Portland, we've had this great reception. Portland's so excited to have us there. But overall, Portland ends up benefiting from us being there because we're building 2 houses. These houses will be paying taxes, they'll be shopping, they'll become part of the fabric that's Portland, and that's exactly what we want. So if we make these things more accessible for people, we work to eliminate not having enough food, and we work to eliminate poverty housing. That does nothing but uplift our communities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're going to mention the website once or twice more before we say goodnight. So if people want more information on Habitat for Humanity's Middlesex County, where should they go?
HabitatMiddlesex.org.
And what types of information can they find on the website?
They could find out how to volunteer, what we have going on, and they can donate.
I was going to say, one thing we talked about during the first segment that I want to maybe talk about before we say goodnight is the store that you guys have.
Yes, the Restore.
Let's talk about it.
All right. What do you want to talk about?
Tell me.
All right, so
in about 15 seconds, tell
in
me.
15 seconds, in 15 seconds, if you go to our Facebook page, you
Yeah.
will see the most beautiful brand new kitchen.
Okay.
It is a Thomasville. It was donated from a private citizen.
Okay.
And that is just a small bit of what we have that comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah Bird from Habitat for Humanities, thanks for coming down, and hopefully we'll have you on again.
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next week.